So now we will have a pretty good example on how partners win together if they have the right strategy. And on stage now will be two pioneers, two game changers who together go for paperless world. They are bringing up a successful cloud story and they are building a strong base for the future. I'm talking about Deutsche Telekom and DocuSign, who want to drive electronic signatures forward together on the European market. And I'd say let's learn more about this partnership, about this business strategy in detail. And please welcome, ladies and gentlemen, the CEO of Deutsche Telekom, Tim Höttges, and the chairman of DocuSign, Keith Krach. Good to have you. Welcome on stage, Keith.
Thank you. Thank you, thank you.
So welcome everybody here at Deutsche Telekom's living room here at Hanover.
Yeah, I guess it's quite cozy in our arena here.
People are totally exhausted, so we have to wake them up, Keith.
Let's do it.
Yeah.
Krach.
I guess we have some pretty good arguments for this audience here. Tim, last year you've been here on stage with partners like Microsoft, SAP, Huawei. Today you're here with Keith. Tell us more about your new partner.
Yeah, look, we have, in our strategy, we're one pillar, which is called Win with Partners. And, we cannot, we are managing a capital base of 145 billion euros. And we cannot go into all the applications. We need strong partners who are developing these ecosystems for, let's say, all the networks which we are building. And we have built a network, and you see that Salesforce, you see all the guys here around there, 115 partners. And we were thinking about what is the right partner for us in the global world to help customers to make their life easier. The process is paperless, and even Deutsche Telekom's life paperless, because I can tell you Deutsche Telekom is very bureaucratic and we have a lot of paper. So we thought about two angles, a partner internally and externally, and that is how we started talking to Keith and his team.
Yeah, and Keith, always the guy with really convincing numbers. Keith, tell us some more details on your company, DocuSign. What do you stand for? Give us maybe some numbers to framework that.
Yes. So in one word, DocuSign stands for trust. We provide a trusted service on our global trust network, and we empower anyone to transact anything, anytime, anywhere, on any device securely. And on that network, we have about 250,000 customers, all the way from Fortune 1 to mom and pop shops. We have over 120 million unique users, and we're putting 135,000 unique users on a day, which is up from 50,000 unique users a day a year ago. So at the heart of it, it is to provide trust on that service network.
Actually, those numbers don't surprise me because you are one of the movers and shakers in Silicon Valley. People know you because you founded companies like Ariba. You've served as a CEO of DocuSign for many years. Now as a chairman, you're promoting the growth strategy of DocuSign. Why do you think Deutsche Telekom is the perfect partner for you in Europe?
Yes. So I would say it would be three things, Alexandra. And the first one is trust, right? Providing that trusted network. And when you look at what Deutsche Telekom provides, I think they set the standard in the world. And when we look at our customers around the world, particularly in Germany, companies like Deutsche Bank and Siemens and Allianz and Bayer and BASF, it is of utmost criticality. And that trusted relationship also starts on a personal basis as well. The second thing is innovation, and innovation in terms of partnering. So T-Mobile's been a customer in the States for many years. Deutsche Telekom made an investment in DocuSign about 18 months ago. What we're announcing today is rolling it out enterprise-wide inside of Deutsche Telekom in Europe, and also a resale partnership. And perhaps most importantly, Deutsche Telekom has been running our data center in Paris and in Frankfurt, and we're also going to be moving that data center in Frankfurt to Beer. And then I guess the third thing would be leadership. And I've had a chance to host 40 of Tim's top leaders and himself at my beach home. Got to know everybody on a personal basis. And what has me excited the most is Tim's passion and courage in terms of leading the digital transformation in Europe. You're a great role model.
Thank you.
So Tim, your partner holds you in high esteem, as we got to know. Where did you find out at first about DocuSign? What was? How did your first encounter look like?
The first thing for me is the advice to people here, build networks of partners, because the moment you have a partner, you meet the next partner and the next partner, and suddenly you find yourself in a great family. It was in the kitchen of Mark Benioff, who is the owner of Salesforce, where we get introduced. So it was a discussion where we started our relationship based on, a kind of relaxing atmosphere, talking about what business, how we can drive and could change business in the world. So I think that is very, very important, that you really are open-minded. German industries, German entrepreneurs, they tend to try to manage their silo independent from partners. It is a kind of vertical, closed shop. That is how we became productivity world champions, because we understand everything from A to Z. But in this new world, which is flat, which is horizontal, we have to align ourselves with, let's say, great skills. And in DocuSign, if you think about how our processes are organized, how bureaucratic things are, and how much time is getting eaten up in organizations by just filling out forms. This is something which drove the relationship, saying, okay, we bring every business process down to 3 to 4 hours, which we automate, totally. And in the US, our entire retail stores are managed by DocuSign. Yeah, and if you are buying a phone, if you're registered, as a new customer, boom, it goes just through the system. There's no paper involved at all, including credit checking, including ERP systems, including, let's say, the sales process and the documentation. Everything is end-to-end digitalized. And this is, let's say, the new world. Good for the customers, high convenience, and secondly, high productivity, low cost. That's the name of the game.
So it all started in a kitchen. I guess it was a big kitchen, probably.
We were drinking, other ones were cooking.
So Keith, tell us some more about your solution. We heard a few words on that already. So
yes.
We are talking about a totally paperless solution.
Yes.
And I guess it's a kind of revolution in this market.
Yes.
As contracts are exchanged quite quickly.
Yes. And it's fun because it's like when I go on TV in the US and they go, DocuSign, you're the big disruptor. They expect a long-winded speech from the CEO. And they go, what are you disrupting? I just go, paper. Can you tell us more about it? It doesn't punch back. There's a lot of it. If you think of what we've done in this whole area and what's driving our high growth, it's the value proposition, as Tim talked about, in terms of quantifiable benefits, top and bottom line. So, for example, at T-Mobile last year, they put $198 million to the bottom line because of what we've done in the 3,000 retail stores, and saved 600 million pieces of paper. I remember the first time I met Tim, he's talking about that. He was so enthusiastic. I go, well, we've got to get together. And that's what we did, and do it in Europe. And then I had a great honor with Tim to join his top 1,000 leaders, the TomTom meeting, where Tim gave the charge in terms of not only the digital transformation inside of Deutsche Telekom, but also for the rest of Europe. So we're really aligned. And I think one of the things that I love that Tim talked about is DocuSign being the catalyst for the digital transformation. And you first have to get rid of the paper, but also I loved it at the end. He said, in order to steer the ship, it has to be moving. And the way to get it moving is quick wins. And that's what DocuSign gives us, because so much of it is a cultural change.
Yeah.
So how much can I save as a customer using this solution? Do you have a few numbers on that?
Yeah, so on the average, $36 of value per document. It depends on the different use cases. If you look at in the financial services area or insurance, new client onboarding is in the hundreds. But perhaps one of the best things about it is speed to results. So, for example, it used to take Salesforce a week from the time they sent out a proposal to the time they got it signed by the customer. Now, 60% of the time, by the time they send out a proposal, it's DocuSign, and the software's provision is less than 15 minutes. And as we all know, time kills deals. So, and
think about all the postal service costs.
Yes.
I think the first pitch which we had is to say, okay, I do not want to invest. I do not have money for digitalization. You hear that very often. People always think about their budgets, but they never, they do not have extra budget, to make the upfront investment for getting the payback.
Right.
So what he said is, okay, what amount of money do you pay for postal service? And I can tell you, at Deutsche Telekom, that's close to triple-digit millions, the postal cost which Deutsche Telekom has. And if we could get 1/3 out of it in 1 year, I could invest 30 million to DocuSign, and I get it paid back in the first year.
Yes. Yes.
So this is a perfect business case. In the second year, it's already net profit. So I think that's the way how you should drive it. Don't shoot for the holy land. Just do it step by step. That is, I think, the approach. Today we have 80% of all our bills are sent digital, no postal costs at all involved in Germany. So and 67% on the fixed line, and we have to increase that up to 100%. I do not want to have contracts, written contracts, in HR or in the retail areas by the end of this, the next 2 or 3 years within this company. We all has to substitute that by digital services.
Actually, nothing more to say, but I have one more question, of course. We all know Deutsche Telekom is a trustworthy brand. You already mentioned that, Keith. And all that was reflected, Tim, as well in the last Bitkom Cloud Monitor. I guess you were quite happy when you heard about all the results, weren't you?
Look, there was a history where telcos, and especially Deutsche Telekom, was not, perceived as the most trustworthy company. Beginning of the 90s and the early 2000s, where we had the scandal in that company. From that moment on, we always said, the T has to stand for trust as well. And if you now ask customers, and there was a big survey made in Germany, the brand for the digital trust who is ranked highest is Deutsche Telekom. By the way, triple the amount of Google and the others. Facebook is the lowest level in this, where you would give your data to. So we have a really gap to all the others. And Germans are very paranoid. I always say the good thing with Trump is he's driving business into Deutsche Telekom because nobody wants to transfer his data anymore into the US. They just say, I want to know that my data is stored securely in the legislation which I'm operating in. And that is what Deutsche Telekom is offering. We have a secure cloud service here in Germany, in Biere or in other clouds and data centers. It's Deutsche Telekom managers who are facilitating and handling this data, but all the applications, being it Salesforce, being it Azure, SAP, being it Microsoft, they operate within these data centers, but the transfer of this data is only or is limited to our allowance, to our policies within the company. And that is same true for DocuSign. So it's another software as a service layer, which we have now brought into our portfolio with DocuSign here. And I think this is a good way of how to deal with this trust issue in Germany.
Yeah.
From our history, we were always, in this espionage issues. Think about the eastern part of Germany. Think about the time, during the Nazis in Germany. We were spied out. Germans hate to be observed. And therefore, we just want to have our data very private and secure. And this is exactly the business model which we are trying to drive to address this customer need here.
You were talking about digitization and the customers, and that are some customers sometimes in the position that they say, okay, I can't deal with all these solutions because they don't get me. I guess it's clear that DocuSign is an implementation for everybody, a service coming from the cloud. What is your experience with your customers? What's their main driver? What do they tell you each and every day?
As I said, the main driver is I do not want to have my mails handled by somebody else. I do not want to have my customer data handled on a daily basis, and I do not know where this data is stored. I do not know who's handling it, and especially in a legal conflict, who gets access to this data. And if you have a business scandal, like VW or other companies, and you do not control the legislation anymore, because the data might have been stored in another country, and suddenly the local legislation is not anymore the legislation contributed to the data. Whereas today, this is a problem for the companies. So they want to have a secure storage for their data which they handle into the cloud. That's definitely the case. And I think this is for the Germans the biggest problem to go into cloud service, the biggest problem to just give up control about this data. We love to keep our things. We have Gartenzäune. You know what a Gartenzaun is, please?
Tell me.
It's our fence, which we have around our houses.
Where the Gartenzwerg is as well.
Yeah.
So we like that, and we like to protect our properties. And that is, I think, something which is the biggest driver for this cloud service for Germany here.
The motto of Deutsche Telekom is sell what you use. We already got to know that they use DocuSign in the US. What kind of feedback did you get, Keith, from Deutsche Telekom within those many years?
What's that?
Deutsche Telekom also uses DocuSign.
Yes.
You just said. What kind of feedback did you get? Maybe that convinces people.
Oh well, I think the three big areas of feedback. Definitely number one is that quantifiable value proposition. The other is just such an easy customer experience. Everybody's used to doing their business on their mobile. And what's interesting is a lot of people go, and they used to do this in the US. Well, is it legal? And it absolutely is. And a key aspect is we reduce the risk in terms of security and compliance. So, for example, the CFO of Morgan Stanley, who's now the CFO of Google, the way she describes DocuSign, it's control freak software for control freaks, and I think that's that's one of the things that's really driving our business. And that's the big synergy that we have with Deutsche Telekom. And also core to our strategy is to thrive in a heterogeneous environment. Mm-hmm. So we have partnerships with Salesforce, SAP, Google, Microsoft, Visa, Intel, NTT, where they are investors in DocuSign, they're global enterprise customers, and also we have product integrations that go to market. So it fits right in with Tim's partnership strategy.
Tim, let's gaze into the future together. What are your growth ambitions with DocuSign within the next years?
Look, the first one is DocuSign helps us to implement our group strategy. So it's a very strategic element of the what we are able to do is we combine connectivity, security, so secure data access, and cloud services. So this is a combination which we think is unique. It's a USP, it's a unique position which we have among the others. This has to be combined with interesting, we call it vertical solutions, we call it, let's say, the applications these guys are driving. So bring this into the ecosystem because customers, they do not want to handle all this complexity. At the end of the day, they want to try to get a solution which is helping them. And that is the intention which we have behind us, to say, this is the three core areas from Deutsche Telekom. In combination with great applications, we bring added value to our customers. In the cloud area, we have built a business of 1.6 billion over the last years. We are growing by 20% in this area, which is for us unbelievable. For these guys, it's a disaster. Growing only with 20%, oh gosh, what's going on? For us, we have 75 billion of turnover as a company, and if we are growing, by 3-4%, that is amazing for our industry. We are building, this huge infrastructure. So these guys are helping us to get new growth momentum into the company. And if we're growing by 20% for the next years in this cloud environment, together with these applications, these guys, I think Deutsche Telekom will keep their leading position.
Do your ambitions look different?
No, I mean, our ambitions are...
You saw this?
Yeah, this.
He's always shooting. I don't know who.
hyper growth. And you know, one of the things that has me so excited here was the opening of CeBIT, where they had the Chancellor and the Prime Minister. And I love the Chancellor. She said, we need to implement e-signature faster in Germany, probably in Japan. They're doing it 10 times faster. And what was interesting was 3 weeks ago, we were in Japan, and I had a chance to meet with the chairman of Japan Post, and he said, look, we have more paper per capita than any other country. We have to improve the productivity of our workers. It's a national imperative. And then we met with the Vice Prime Minister, and in Japan, they've declared a war on paper. And then we met with the Minister of the Real Estate, Engineering, Construction Ministry, and they are changing the laws there for DocuSign. And so I was just excited to see that, because this is part of a global transformation.
Actually, DocuSign is perfect for Trump as well. He's signing so much. I mean, he will be even faster in doing so.
But
so
he needs a long time to write it.
This is
I've seen that, you know, so
exactly.
He's very accurate in this one. So
anyhow,
I always make crosses, you know that?
Yeah. We may have to shut him down.
well, thank you so much for sharing your points of view on that, and for introducing this strong partnership to us.
Yeah.
I would like to open this to our audience. Are there any questions? Would you like to know something from Keith or from Tim? This is the chance now. If so, just give me a sign. I come by with a mic. Was it the sign over there? No. No, I guess he's just filming.
Should we call on somebody?
Yeah, call
Who
somebody.
do you want to call on?
Okay, but I've got one more question. Tim, what would you like?
Miguel.
Oh, was there a sign? No, still not. Still not. Okay. Tim, what would you like? What kind of headline would you like to read after the CeBIT 2017?
Yeah, look, I think for Germans and for Europeans, it should be a headline like, thanks to Telekom, we have more optimism towards digitalization. Because it seems to be that we are seeing more the risks and substitution, the negative elements of digitalization, and we do not see the convenience. We do not see the use cases behind it. We see the added value of all the digitalization what we are driving. Everything gets easier. It is less routines, especially a DocuSign as an example. So, you know, that we are creating a little bit of momentum, agility for digitalization in an optimistic way. This would be something like a headline, you know, which we need. So that the spring is here with the trees and flowers, the bottoms here. That is something which I think should get out of this CeBIT.
Smells good and is good.
It is good.
Yeah. Keith, you're chairman now. You served as a CEO for many years. How has your life changed since then?
Well, it hasn't changed a lot. You know, I only thought I was going to go back and do the CEO thing again for 2 years. Now it's 8 years later. And the press called our search the #1 CEO software search in the world. We've got a great guy. He's been there 2 months. But now I get a chance to focus on country transformations. That's why I've been in Japan, Germany, and it really gives me a chance to get out there and see what's going on, as opposed to, you know, be buried in day-to-day operations. I always kid everybody, you know, chairman's the greatest job because you have all the authority and no responsibility. But it's
if you
service
need
to
a
the
job,
CEO.
let me know. You know, I have a job in my team for you. You know, at least as a sales guy, you know, unbeatable. Yeah.
Okay, thank you so much, gentlemen. I would like to invite you for a picture right over there for a group picture, and you've got one more thing, I guess.
Okay.
Keith got a surprise. Tim.
What is that, Keith?
Now, I have an award for Tim Höttges, and this is the DocuSign Digital Hero Award.
Come on.
And by the way, it's no small award, as you can see. And by the way, let me read this to you. For being a role model partner of digital leadership, innovation, and trust. Tim Höttges, you have the trophy. You are a great, great role model partner. We can't thank you enough. Everything that you've done for DocuSign, Europe, Germany, and the world.
Thank you very much. Guys. That makes me totally speechless. This was not planned at all, Keith. You're always good for a surprise. It makes me proud for all the telecom people working on this partnerships here for ages now with our 150 partners. So thank you so much for your friendship, your relationship, and even your motivation. I think he's a role model. He's a billionaire. He's cool. And you guys, buy DocuSign. It's a great company. All the best.
All the best.
Good, thank you.
Thank you, Tim.
I got my first bocal.
Okay.
Here.